back to Sysadministrivia, the podcast where some of us are sometimes relocated. This is Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Peyton.
So, this time I am in South Carolina right now instead of my normal setup in Philadelphia. So if you hear an echo, it's because I'm in a very large room with minimal furniture, and the sound quality may be affected. It'll be better next episode, I promise. But you know what? That doesn't even matter because we got something special planned for you later on in the episode. What are y'all drinking?
Peyton?
Go ahead, Jathan. What are you drinking?
I'm actually drinking Chimay tonight, so...
Chimay? What's Chimay?
Really?
Schlamazel.
It's I can't think of the word right now, because I'm a few in.
Oh my gosh.
But it has to be brewed by some kind of special people to be considered a certain Trappist thing. Okay. Just fucking read about it.
Google. You know what? We'll just put it in the show notes.
Yeah,
whatever.
There you go.
Well, I have my typical standby. Sorry, Brent.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm drinking vodka tonight.
The
Buckeye?
Beer. Yep, Buckeye vodka.
Buckeye vodka, okay.
I still have a giant bottle of this. I have to remind Yana to give me some more.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to run out of this eventually. I'll have to take a picture and put it up on the Twitter.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in drinking, I guess go to Peyton's house.
Absolutely.
Party at Peyton's.
Yeah.
Party at Peyton's. Woohoo!
I am about 3 glasses in of frozen mojitos. Because it's vacation. And that's how you do on vacation. So this might be the first episode in a long while where I'm actually drunk for the thing. But thankfully you don't have
thing. Oh my god.
Drunk for the thing.
You guys know what I mean. Come on. I'm
totally
talking like the kids. You know. That's what the kids say. The thing. It's
I don't think any kids are saying
I don't think they
I'm
say
drunk
that.
for the thing.
Yeah.
No. They just refer to the thing as like a wildly ambiguous pronoun.
No. They might say like drunk izzle for
college.
Thing izzle.
No. That's like 10 years ago. That's when like I was a kid.
10 years ago was when you were a kid?
Well, I was 20, so that wasn't really so much a kid, but like that was before I knew what I was doing, you know.
All right, he's cut off.
What hotel room what kind of hotel are you staying in?
Oh, we rented like a resort house kind of a thing.
A resort house. Oh, okay, all right. I spent 5 years in extended stays, so I was going to tell you tips and tricks about extended stays if you had a question, but you stay in a resort house, so
yeah, I guess it'd be like a timeshare. It would be the closest thing. Yeah, but it's not really a timeshare. It's just a straight up rental property. But yeah, it's nice. It's a huge house. It's huge.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Wow. So we have a lot of news, and our special our special feature tonight is we have the audio from our little segment at Hope. Now, we had a block scheduled for an hour, and Jathan was up all fucking night getting drunk, and I was up all night the night before working on, like, what we wanted to talk about. So we both didn't get to bed until really late, and we didn't wake up until, like, 20 minutes into our segment. And poor Beaches. Shout out to Beaches, by the way.
Yeah, if you're listening, you're an awesome dude. I was glad to meet you, and thanks for being cool.
Yeah, Beaches was like 5 times. Like, he called me, texted me. He's like, yo, where are you guys?
Finally, I think the thing that actually woke me up was literally an email from him, of all things.
An email?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Huh.
My phone vibrates a little bit different for an email versus other things. I think the email's longer.
It vibrates, huh?
And it...
Really?
On the bedside table,
you know.
The email just like was enough to wake me up and snap me out of it.
That's weird. Like, yeah, for me it was like the 3rd call that he made. Sorry again, Beaches. But we got to speak with Deviant, Ollam, and Johnny Christmas, and that was a blast. So we'll pop that into the episode later. But for now, let's just go right to Peyton with the news. What do you think, Jathan?
Well, wait, real quick. You didn't really mention what we talked about.
They're gonna hear it in like 15 minutes, dude.
All right.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's going in the show notes anyway.
It's a
like,
secret. Shh.
It's not a secret because it's gonna be in the show notes. They're gonna hear in 15 minutes.
Shh.
I hate you all so much.
Dude, just get with the thing.
You ready?
I'm gonna fucking punch you in the face. Go, Peyton.
Okay, paid with the news. Okay, we have first bit of news. The ADA, which is what is the ADA? American Dental Association in this regard, says it may have inadvertently mailed malware-laced USB thumb drives to thousands of dental offices nationwide.
Literally.
Now, this is a fantastic job. Good job, guys. We're just gonna say good job and move on.
That's not even our baddie.
That's not even our baddie. That's terrible.
Keep going. I love this.
So let's see now. There's a new FFS Rowhammer attack which can hijack Linux VMs. Researchers from the I have no idea.
Yeah, good luck.
VRIJE University in the Netherlands have revealed a new version of the infamous Rowhammer attack that is effective in compromising Linux VMs, which are, of course, often used for cloud hosting services. It's evolved across the years, was successful against DDR3, but it was also proved last year that it's effective against DDR4. They demoed the Rowhammer attacks via JavaScript. Great. So that's out.
Okay.
And the next bit of news is that DDR4 memory has been shown to be vulnerable to Rowhammer. I just covered that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cloud hacking trick, and I say hacking with quotes, that allows undetectable changes to VM memory. This is also a Rowhammer thing because it's the same university.
Jason, what the fuck?
I just realized in the show notes, instead of writing Rowhammer, I wrote Warhammer.
Yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, we saw that.
Oh, man.
So then, let's see. So there's 3 articles there about Rowhammer. They all look to be the same, roughly.
Oh my gosh.
Good job, Jathan. You suck. Falseconnect vulnerability affects software from Apple, Microsoft, Oracle, and more. A researcher named Jerry Decime, I don't know how to say his name, has revealed details about a security vulnerability that allows an attacker to gain a man-in-the-middle position and intercept HTTPS traffic thanks to flaws in the implementation of proxy authentication procedures in various products. So this is a flaw in how applications from several vendors respond to HTTP connect requests via HTTP 1.0 407 proxy authentication required responses. So I don't know if there is an update on this. Let's see, it looks like multiple Linux distros, Cisco, Google, HP, IBM, Juniper, Mozilla, Nokia, OpenBSD, SAP, Sony, and others are vulnerable to this, or may be affected. So there's that. Then there's a Linux bug that leaves USA Today and other top sites vulnerable to serious hijacking attacks. It's an off-path attack, which means hackers can be anywhere with no man in the middle needed. It's got a lovely picture of Neo holding up his hand and blocking bullets with some terminal. It looks like it's packet loss stats. Wow, that's a great... Wow, that's fantastic. Oh. It has "you are hijacked" in the code. That's great. Good job, Ars Technica. I feel very good. Okay, so anyway, computer scientists have discovered a serious internet vulnerability that allows attackers to terminate connections between virtually any 2 parties, and if the connections aren't encrypted, inject malicious code or content into the parties' communications. So we've got a link to that. That's great.
I would like to quick interject there. That is, I believe, fixed in kernel 4.7.
Okay.
It is stable in Arch now, and the fix is probably backported to your distro as long as it's before the end of life. So make sure you patch that, yeah.
Get the patching.
It's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah. So, in the next bit of news, this one, when I read this, I saw this, I could not help but laugh. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. Windows 10 Secure Golden Key Boot. It's a backdoor which Microsoft put into SecureBoot because they decided not to let the user turn off at certain devices. Allows for SecureBoot to be disabled everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Also, I think we need to get a link for this. Also, Microsoft leaked their keys for SecureBoot.
Intentionally?
I don't... No, Jathan, no. They did not do that intentionally.
What part of the word leaked don't you understand, Jathan?
It might leaked, or they lost, or we need to find the link for that. We'll get the link for that in there, but
that's not something. Yeah, that's not something you.
That's not something you want.
Anybody in their sensible mind would do intentionally.
No. For anyone running a POS, flaw in Samsung Pay lets hackers wirelessly skim credit cards. The tokens are used to make purchases, can be easily stolen and used in other hardware to make fraudulent transactions. So there's another one there. As a security researcher who wasn't Salvador Mendoza is his name.
It's almost like that.
He presented it at Black Hat Talk in Las Vegas.
It's terrible.
In other news, a sheriff decided that he was going to raid the house of an anonymous blogger who called him corrupt. There was a watchdog blog, which these are the sites that say, hey, so-and-so is doing this, it's malicious or whatever. Repeatedly linked this sheriff and other local officials to corruption and fraud. The sheriff of Terrebonne Parish in Louisiana on Tuesday sent 6 deputies to raid a police officer's home to seize computers and other electronic devices. So this was actually reported August 4th, so that's that Tuesday. The officer in question was Wayne Anderson. He works for the police department of Houma, Houma, the county seat of Terrebonne Parish, and he formerly worked as a Terrebonne Sheriff's deputy. Sheriff Jerry Larpenter's deputies submitted affidavits alleging criminal defamation against the anonymous author of the Exposdat blog, and they used that information to obtain a search warrant. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
That's completely against freedom of speech.
And that kind of hits home, too, because that's like... Right. I lived in Louisiana for 3 years, and New Orleans for 2 of it, and that's, on one point, I'm not really surprised by that, but at the same point, it's like, why? Why? Oh, and to clarify, Louisiana calls their counties parishes, because they're under Napoleonic law and all that, so if you're confused by that, don't worry, it makes no sense.
It makes 0 sense. I remember growing up in Texas, we had all our school books had parish under the county, and I was always like, why is the parish in here? What's a parish? And I asked my teacher that one time. She's like, "Oh, that's for Louisiana. We don't talk about Louisiana." I was like, oh, okay, all right.
Sums up the relationship between Texas and Louisiana perfectly.
Pretty much. So FireEye is planning layoffs, and they've cut their outlook as sales of its security services weaken. According to FireEye CEO Kevin Mandia, changes in the threat environment have resulted in lower sales of its security subscriptions and products. They're planning on laying off up to 400 employees. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Cisco patches extra bacon 0-day exploit leaked by NSA hackers. So a group of hackers stole and published a set of NSA cyber weapons earlier this week. The multi-billion-dollar tech firm Cisco is now updating its software to counter 2 potent leaked exploits that attack and take over crucial security software used to protect corporate and government networks. So... another good job, guys.
Peyton has more on that later, but yeah, that's
fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Yep.
But thanks for that. That was, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Like, I guess it just, you know what? No, we'll get into that discussion when we talk about the baddies.
Yeah, we'll get that in here in a minute.
Yeah. So now, as you all know, because we said it at least probably 5 times on the show and multiple times on Twitter, Jathan and I went to Hope, had a blast.
You guys suck.
Oh, yeah.
I was drunk for more than half of it.
Peyton was immensely jealous, but, then again, he had a kid, so, like, it's...
He got one.
I said he had!
No, you said got.
I definitely said had.
He said had.
All right.
We have it on
Maybe
recording.
if you were paying attention, Jathan, you would have known what he said.
Oh, I'm paying attention.
We have it recorded, so...
Sick bird.
Boom.
Boom roasted. Boom goes the dynamite. And...
boom goes the dynamite.
I had a pretty good time. I feel like the vendors was a little bit weak this year. But we still got to, chum around with the Radio Statler group, and we got a little segment going on. It originally started as a sort of red versus blue discussion. I guess Beaches had planned it to be some sort of a competition.
Yeah, it sounded like a fucking death match in his...
Or like a debate, at the very least. But, I think both sides of us went in really kind of agreeing with the concept of purple team, quote unquote, where you really need both. You need the offensive and the defensive to work together. And both of us hold that opinion. So it was a lot less sort of on the attack and much more conciliatory, I guess, is what you would say.
Yeah, and, listening to the audio, and I think I even said this when we walked out, Johnny kind of carried the conversation a lot, and I think that had we had the full hour, we might have had more to actually say, so...
Well, I think we said plenty, really.
Yeah, well, I think we get the point across, certainly, that,
you
what you just said.
You shouldn't need to say a lot.
Yeah.
It matters what you say. So we'll
Fucking
go right
romantic.
into that. What? That's not romantic. That's just a matter of a fact, kind of.
No, I'm calling you a romantic, you know?
I
you don't
know,
have to wine and dine the girls. You just say 3 words, but they're the exactly right words.
No.
What?
I think Jathan's flag.
What are you high on?
Flag.
I think Jathan is...
What are you smoking, Jathan? Because you need to share with the whole class, okay?
Yeah, this is... Well, without further ado, I'm just going to ignore Jathan, and we're going to go right into the recording from that session.
All right.
So speaking of synthetic marijuana...
Absolutely.
Here, no. Sit here.
Did you say you had some last night?
Well, I had a lot.
Did you announce that on the air?
No, I didn't have any.
So I think the draw of synthetic marijuana is that I think it's legal. I think you can just go to a head shop and purchase some. Can anybody verify that? Corroborate my claims? I know we...
This will loop back to my initial quandary, though, is, like, cannabis, while, quote, I'm making air quotes, illegal, is it, like, really illegal? Because it's not, like, illegal. Like,
I mean...
Because everyone, we're looking here on the radio, you can't see, everyone around this table is white. So, cannabis, pretty not illegal for us. I'm sorry.
Right,
sorry, people of color.
That was going to be my
Law
interjection.
enforcement fucks you in the ass on that
Also,
one.
to be fair, I'm from Colorado.
Yeah.
So, literally legal.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, until we stop imprisoning people for mere possession of it.
Yeah. Super unjust, but, like, my privilege is very well defined. I'm very aware of it. Like,
So what you're saying is please start arresting white people. That's your solution? Is that...
You know, enough people get arrested for something dumb. That's kind of what changes shit.
And the good news is we don't have enough people in jail yet, so you're really helping the problem.
Right, of course. No, it's
I actually don't smoke, despite what you would think I'm looking at me. But
You know, as you came in and I said that was what was going through my head. I'm like, I bet this dude's totally straight edge, and I'm sitting here like, look at this stoned ass motherfucker.
I drank. I probably look stoned. We literally...
It's the dreads. It's it's a stereotype that you're gonna have to roll with.
No, I know. I actually have it for like religious reasons, which is the most ironic part of it. But
is it? I feel like I know a lot of marijuana smokers are super religious.
No, I'm not Rastafarian. It's
Christianity.
No,
You don't know your own religion?
No,
Is this what's...
no.
It's a very deeply held conviction, obviously.
Yeah, right. My dad told me once.
No, there's a specific value take where you don't cut or comb your hair. It's Christianity, but it's like a...
Oh, sure. It's one of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so we literally just woke up about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, is that where you were? Because we were like, oh, classic blue team taking 25 minutes to find me.
You fucking...
That's our show, folks.
We'll never get a better singer.
Well, shit. Oh, shit. You know what? I'm just gonna... That's it. That's done.
Wow. Yeah, now I'm going to spend 70 hours writing this report up for the 4 minutes it took me to own you.
So who do we have here from both sides of the table? Like,
So, I'm Brent. I go by Square Root.
And I'm Jonathan. I go by Jathan on Freenode and such.
Yeah, I'm with Foxy Proxy.
Oh, on the internet.
Yeah, I'm employed by CU, but we're both hosts of Sysadministrivia.
Are you, did you say you're with Foxy Proxy? That's neat. I did not know they had paid employees.
Well, we have, like, services, too. So I don't do any plug-in development, but, yeah. We run a podcast specifically for system administrators and system engineers and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a plug for where to find that?
GetFoxyProxy.org.
Okay.
No, I think he was talking about
the podcast.
Oh, the podcast.
yeah,
The
say
podcast.
something about
Actually here.
Are you positive you don't smoke? Like,
Come on, man.
My excuse is that I literally left here less than 6 hours ago.
Yeah, you were here like all night.
I think I might.
and you guys left a horrible mess. Like,
It
Beaches
wasn't me.
came in this morning, like, Corey Doctorow was coming in to do an interview, and Beaches comes in and just starts, like, arm loading stuff off the table. There's just beer cans and wine bottles. Like, who brought wine?
I don't know what happened.
Or is that whiskey there?
That is
whiskey.
apple whiskey.
Yeah, I don't like it, for the record.
Because it's not Laird's. Laird's Brothers from Jersey represent. That is where you get your apple whiskey. I don't know who the hell this is.
Do you guys have Twitter handles?
Yeah.
Do you tweet?
I'm JR DeMasi, JRDEMASI.
I believe I'm at Broadstater, but the podcast is, oh, by the way, Sysadministrivia.com. It's sysadmin and then is trivia, but it's a...
Yeah. Let's see what you did there.
Hey, spell it again. You're JRD...
DEMASI.
There you are.
The podcast is...
Hi, Mom.
We're already following each other, actually. At S...
Well, I'm doing it from the Radio Statler account here.
Okay. You know, I'm just going to write it down, because I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. But
just trying to plug you, man.
Well, that's the thing. I'm so out of it.
Say the letters in the order that they appear in your handle.
Okay. SYSADM _
Yeah.
PODCAST. I can't believe I had to write that down, but...
That's funny.
This is going bad for us already.
Okay.
Yeah, Twitter doesn't let you have admin in your name, as it turns out. But we had already picked the name.
Weird.
Yeah. Or even in, like, the display name. So we have to use, like, an ad symbol.
Okay. So, do we have a moderator for this? Has anybody?
No,
okay.
I thought Beach was with him, but he just skipped out.
I feel what happened is we all got stuffed in a room and we're told go.
Yeah, moderator, it's a red team, blue team. The moderator is a scoping document.
Yeah. Let's go. I'm going to read the SOW on the air. It's only 104 pages, so we'll
And
get through this real quick.
on this side of the table, we obviously have the voice of Johnny Christmas.
Yeah, hi, Johnny Christmas. I don't think I've announced myself all morning. People have been like, there's some asshole in the air today. It's Johnny Christmas. How you guys doing? And then sharing the side of the table with me is Deviant Ollam.
Yes, indeed.
What was your first hope, Deviant?
Oof, H2K.
All right, same here.
Yeah.
You're one of the few that shares that seniority with me.
Right on.
I've been like, as every next hope happens, or more hopes happen, because there wasn't one next hope. I get more and more enjoyment out of like asking people, when's your first hope? And they're like, oh, Hope 9, or the last hope. And I'm like, man, I've been coming 16 years to this nonsense.
It blows you because every other year. So when you think, you're like, oh, that was that like 3 hopes ago? You're like, yeah, that was 6 effing years ago, if that's the case. Like,
yeah. And I love the every other year, and that was so cool because like 2 years is enough for someone's life to change. And so when back in the day, social media was not anywhere near as big as it was now. So like you just wouldn't talk to people for 2 years, and then you'd come across them at Hope again, and like their kid is 2 years old now, and like when you last saw them, they had no kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, last hope was my first hope. So.
Wow. But now, Johnny, are you also a single-digit DEF CONner?
Yes, DEF CON 8 was my first one.
Oh, yeah. Teaming up, like, bro fist on that.
Yeah. Why 8? Or was that also your first DEF CON?
Yeah.
Shit, man. And it took us like 15 years to start talking to each other?
Yeah, exactly. That's wild. Like, we've probably been running into each other at parties or something, but I'm going to say there was a Carolina con a couple of years. Was that the first time we actually just got to sit and chill? What was the first con we actually spent hanging out and was like, this person's awesome. I want to spend more time with this person.
I want to say, I think it was DerbyCon last year.
Oh, that was, yeah, you know what? That's because I was rooming with Rance, and you were hanging with Rance.
We were hanging out and not doing anything bad.
Of course not.
And there was no issues with the hotel staff whatsoever.
No.
Oh, never.
Well, with Rance and his respiratory, cancer, there's no way anyone would smoke anything in the room.
Right.
That would be irresponsible.
Out of your mind? How can you even suggest that?
Right.
Hey, what do you say we actually get talking?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
This guy.
So I have some questions last night.
This is the Johnny and Deviant nostalgia
Sorry,
hour.
Come on, go on.
I'm like, you guys are like a bunch of old men bullshitting on the porch. Yeah.
Sorry, reminiscing about our dead friend that we love, but let's get into this tech stuff.
Yeah, my friends are dead too, buddy.
Go on,
Move
please.
it on.
I feel that if it makes any difference. Do you feel that the red team or blue team is viewed as more glamorously?
Oh, come on.
Do you have pre-written questions?
I do.
That's
why I didn't come down last night.
This is upping the production value. I don't know if this is a gimme of a question, but like...
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah.
Red team or blue team more sexy?
Yeah.
Oh, more sexy? Do you mean
as more sexy?
Do you mean so from like a professional, like what do I want to do more?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. You were in the middle of that answer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like part of our industry is the shit that, oh, no one wants to be blue team. Like, all the talks about everything about break it and then, like, burn everything down and walk away. That's why, like, Bruce Potter and everyone, like, at ShmooCon, they started the Defend It track a year or two ago because they're like, look, everything's about breaking things, and it can't always be breaking, but let's be honest, when you've got people at their first con and they meet somebody, they are invariably running up to a lot of red teamers being like, can I do what you do? Like, what I think the real answer is the perception of the job of red teamer is more sexy than the what people perceive is the job of a blue teamer.
I think that's a good distinction.
Right.
Yeah.
To be fair, when you break into something, too, you guys probably get to jump up and down and wave your arms.
Oh, yeah.
When we fix something, it's just like, all right, well, now I got to fix something else. So it's like, there's no reason to jump.
Yeah.
Plus, we have really boring cons, like Lopsa and...
I imagine
true.
actually our entire
world.
working environment, coworkers, literally everything about our job is probably more boring.
Oh man, I as an ex SecOps engineer, and I loved that job. And my company got bought out, and they wanted us all to move to Florida, and we were all like, no thanks. I had a fun-ass team. We had a blast. Like, everyone on my team was cool as hell. We all bought motorcycles. And, like, we were stereotypically badass at that point.
They were for work motorcycles.
Right. Oh, well, like our VP was legitimately frightened because we would do these, like, weekend-long trips out in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, all right, so you're all just on motorcycles? Yeah, we'll be back Monday. Don't worry. All right, but, like, I'm at risk of losing my entire SecOps team?
So what happens when all of you get hit by a bus?
Right, he was like, what happens when that bus mows you all down? And we're like, well, there's a lot of...
It's documentation.
Yeah, right. It's on the wiki. Just look at the wiki. I put everything in the wiki. You can run all the appliances. It's all in the wiki. Don't worry about it.
So you can have a lot of fun even as a blue teamer, but the idea of recognition, like red team recognition comes from, oh my god, look at everything we broke. And blue team recognition, like the recognition is, oh look, nothing happened.
You're not being noticed.
Right. Yeah, you're not being. In fact, that's kind of funny. The girl that you met, Sherry, I dated her for years. Like her company LMG, they just steered into that whole mantra because their marketing, it was brilliant. Their new marketing is LMG Security. We make nothing happen. That's their slogan.
It's like, the old IT trope of like, you're not doing anything because, or either, how is it? Either you're not doing anything because nothing's broken, and then because nothing's broken, they don't think you do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, so you have a very quiet, you want it to be as quiet as possible around you.
Yeah.
If you're jumping up and down screaming...
What is your
biggest
frustration with that sort of cycle of recognition, non-recognition as blue teamers?
I mean, most of it's just, I say, explaining to other people what we do that aren't in the industry. Like, you can say, like, oh, yeah, we get, companies pay us to test the security by breaking into their boxes. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, whatever, you know, like, I've seen Mr. Robot, you know? But, like, with us, it's like, we get paid to stop the people who break in? You know, and they're like, who is breaking in? Like, why? Who?
Just show them picture. Here, him.
Yeah.
Be like, carry a picture, be like, this guy. And they're like, oh, him.
I'll just carry a picture of
do you have, like cool phrases you use to try and, like, get people to come around? Like, when they're like, what do you do? And what's your, like...
My go-to...
How do you pick up a partner? We have to be gender neutral now.
Right. I generally just go by, I help keep the internet running. And that's like the simplest explanation I can give.
So I work...
I used to... go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I work in HPC, so I just carry around literally a picture of the cluster, and I'm just, look at all these computers. Those are mine.
Yeah, I do that. This is me at work. Yeah.
I'd love to ask one thing. Now, people love to... Maybe this is true or false. Like, people say, oh, but breaches are getting worse all the time, and there's the industry... Is this an actual true trend? Like, because people love to bitch. They're like, our industry costs more every year, but we lose more data every year. And I just think the industry's growing. Is that why it costs more and our losses really
I think we're just publicizing it more. Like, social media is just this growing monster at this point, and I feel like it's just inevitable that like, the rates of these things might not change, but the vocality of them, I guess. Yeah, like, you just hear about them more like that.
Right. Are you saying that it's more like how we currently live in the safest time ever in human history, however, we're hearing more and more about shootings than we ever have because we just have so much access to information.
Exactly like that.
And the other thing is, for a while, companies, if they wanted to run a web server or something else, they hosted that all in-house. But now we see people moving to the cloud. So you have one cloud-based company, and I just put that in air quotes, that gets a breach, and all of a sudden you have 50 large companies affected that all use that same cloud service.
That's true. And so, like, the companies that are affected by a breach are not necessarily the ones who were breached per se.
Not personally, but they used a service or they outsourced to somebody who was breached.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I used to just tell, the phrase I used when I was blue teaming was, I build defensive networks to defend against hackers. And so, like, you still get to put the word hacker in there. You get defensive network, which is a very action sounding. So there you sexy it up. It can be sexy.
There you go. Yeah, we'll make it sound a little bit sexier.
And to counter that, like on the red team side, because a lot of people think that everything we do is just smash and grab. It's a lot of barking up wrong trees, barking up right trees that end up just not having anything on the other at the top of them. It's a lot of waiting for scripts to finish and passwords to crack, and then it's a lot of report writing. It is just an insane amount of report writing.
I follow a lot of infosec on Twitter. I already follow both of you. But yeah, like
you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
My follower.
And like if there's one thing I see often, it's just the sheer amount of just boring ass paperwork that goes into it, and I'm glad I don't need to do
Who's posting their boring ass paperwork?
Not the actual paperwork.
Are you doing
I see bitching about it a whole lot. So
that's why I love physical. Our reports are so image and video heavy. It's great.
Yeah, it's true.
Very true.
Physical assessments are definitely like my favorite as far as the report writing goes, for sure.
Yeah.
We just don't get a lot of them at my company.
Okay. Do you wear like pin cams or anything so you could just be documenting crazy stuff all the time?
What I do is I usually wear shirts that have a breast pocket, and I put my iPhone in the breast pocket, and the camera just pops out, and it works great.
Okay.
Yeah, HD video, and then I do that even. We'll do like Tiger Team style, where I've got somebody back at base just like taking in all the data and feeding them and figuring out what to do, and I'll just like one of the first things I'll do when I get into an office is I'll make a big round with the camera on and then just up that video, and then he'll hit me up later and be like, I noticed this, this, and this, check this out, go look at that. And so while, then I don't even have to, like, he'll pick up things I missed while I was looking around, and then I can go do one thing, start rating printers, and then he's reviewing all the video I sent, saying, hey, ignore this, that's going to be dumb, but go towards this. That looks like it's probably a wiring closet, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So, like, what... I gotta phrase this carefully, but so like ultimately, like we're supposed to be symbiotic, right? It may not always be like that because of pressure put on our various teams, and like to a lot of sysadmins, you guys are just like there to fuck up their day, or to you guys, we're just there because we're idiots and we don't know what we're doing, right? What do you think
those are severe statements.
No. These are like extremes, right? Like I'm not saying everybody feels that way, but like that's the extreme ends of the scale, right? Yeah. What do you think is the most common hurdle when you deal with blue teams? Like what is the thing that bugs you the most that you see so much?
In what in flaws that we find?
Yeah, either security flaws or just like attitude flaws or whatever.
Exceptions.
I have
like, this is
substantial answer to that.
Yeah, they're like, well, yeah, we realize that's still running XP, but we have this completely, that shouldn't even have been in scope because we can't change that one because that would be too much reasons.
Right.
I mean, sometimes there is reasons. Literally, it's like, this is a flight navigation control for aircraft always in the sky that never land, and if we take it down, everyone dies. You're like, well, that sucks. That's the architecture.
And they'll write that off as an exception instead of remediating around it. Because you go, okay, yeah, I understand that you totally can't swap this machine out or do anything to it in any way. Like, that's a thing that's probably in every large enterprise. There's at least one of those somewhere. Is there a term for that? We need a term for that computer.
Oh, man.
We need to invent like a colloquial... Yeah, put that on the to-do list for this talk. We'll figure that out.
I'm writing it. I'm so happy I'm writing it.
You can remediate around that. You can say, all right, so there's this huge vulnerability in this box, etc. So just set up controls for who can access that box. Say, all right, only this IP address can get to that box, and that IP address is just your jump box, and then only person XYZ can even log into that jump box. And that's the one I recommend the most, is just jump boxes.
Okay.
So then you just put something in between firewall-wise, one way or another, to make sure that if you're talking about something that's like, well, it's running this service and that's vulnerable, so we can't just have that out there. Say, right, well, say only this IP can connect. So at least you're really narrowing down where your attack surface. God, exceptions are a good one instead of remediation. My big thing right now is a complete, not just a lack of multi-factor authentication on externally or internet-facing services, but an active pushback against implementing it. And that's what I see a lot when I'm presenting my reports. I go, hey, yeah, so here's this massive attack chain of how I owned all your shit. Note that it started with you not having at least two-factor authentication, and I brute forced X, Y, and Z, and that's how I got in.
Right.
Everything south of that in this attack chain would have been impossible and nullified if you just had multi-factor authentication. And they'll push back, and I'll have CIOs.
How do they even push back against that?
They go, I'm not going to inconvenience my users. I have 3,000 end users. We're going to piss them all off by making them use these little key fobs. And I'm like, you don't have to do any of that anymore. Like, they have the very old idea of what two-factor is. They all still think RSA tokens. Like, no, there's...
Right. I actually have something related to that. I was going to ask y'all, like, how viable in terms of, like, usability and value do you see, like, very strengthening methods like PGP disk encryption and shit like that? Stronger password policies? Like, our biggest hurdle right here isn't so much, like, we tend to want to implement those things.
Yeah.
But we're under a policy because we're salary, right?
Yeah.
So we don't get to jump in, pop something, and stop
right.
and jump out. We've got stuff we have to follow, and if we don't follow, we lose our job. And when the CEO has to go through more than like 2 steps to log into something, we lose our job.
Yeah.
And that's a bad situation to be in because that's how we get popped.
That's a situation we as red teamers target often. Is we know the higher up you go in an organization, the more vulnerable that person's going to be due to things they put in place to make their life easier. Because they go, I'm above security,
right?
So exactly. I get exceptions to all these things on my laptop. Or I have an awesome security team, so I can use a shitty password for my email account.
And, and then we have to make exceptions.
Consistently, the higher up I go in an org, the shittier their personal security is.
Right. Do you find that usually your reports are pretty effective in combating that? Like, do they tend to...
I don't know, because we often don't see the results of that. It's rare that I'm presenting to C-levels.
Right.
It happens on occasion, but usually it's me presenting to a director or possibly a VP, and then they relay the gist of it to the C-levels. It's rare that I'm face to face.
Nothing changes.
And then we'll get called in for the clients that are smart enough to do repeat pen tests. I'll often come back and you just pull up the old pen test and you go, all right, let's see, let me try all this again first, and you get about at least a 50% success rate with that. But part of it is just budget. We work on annual budgets usually, so you go, okay, when you want to do a major project like I don't know what that was, installing MFA in your environment, like that's a multi-million-dollar project that wasn't slated for this year. So I understand that's going to have to wait till at least next year, and then it takes, depending on the size of your environment, it could take that entire year to be fully implemented. So that's a big problem, is just companies getting so big that they lumber under their own weight.
And a lot of times this shocks a lot of people who aren't red teamers, but if people think of a pen test as like a medical exam, where they're like, I have this lump and I don't really know what it is. Can we biopsy that? I need to know. A lot of times when you're red teaming, the person in the company who hired you, they already know what's fucked.
Yes.
And they're not trying to learn about it. They're trying to cover their ass because they now have a report from an outside validated third party that they can wave at someone and say, I told you this was wrong. You didn't believe me. I'm telling you again with documentation. If you get popped, it's not me getting fired.
Yeah.
It's literally on you, and it's you're giving them cover their ass armor.
I would say that is the majority of my clients is that situation. They go, I know this situation's fucked. I need an unbiased third party to give me a report that I can give to my boss to say, hey, look, these guys also think that it's fucked, and this is their only job.
Right, this is what they do.
So that I can justify buying these things. And, like, those are the real boring presentations because, like, they're not even excited that you popped a bunch of stuff. They're like, okay, we thought so. Yeah, that one? Oh, yeah, I know that one. Awesome, thank you. They're more excited that they get to, like, go say I told you so to their boss than, like, the fact that you broke into anything.
Right.
Whereas, like, we like you said, like, we like we also like to say I told you so, or, like, jump up and down and yell. So, like, we like the ones where you like do a smash and grab and you get away with all their financial data and get to walk into that room and be like, can you confirm for me that this is regulated data of this nature? Can you confirm for me that these are your financial records? And then just when all their jaws drop and they're like,
those are pretty great.
Yeah, but those are few and far between.
True. So last night, speaking of, like, buying shit, you actually mentioned that there's, like, vendor targeting for red team versus blue team. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, no, that is a rant I go on often.
Well, I mean, I found it was interesting. Like, I'm more interested in how we'd be able to fight that other than just telling them, hey, fuck you. Like,
well, so you look at the demographic that vendors target. They're not targeting you guys. They're not, like, targeting people who operate at our level. They're targeting the people with the buying power. Right. Your directors, your VPs, like and depending on the cost of whatever they're selling, who they're targeting higher up in your organization is, changes. Right. And that whole red versus blue was invented by marketing companies to create little objects that you can physically imagine in your head and create definite walls and say, this is blue, this is red. And when in fact, like, you can't, like, everyone should be purple. Like, red and blue shouldn't exist because you can't be, you can't set up defensive networks without understanding how the attack vectors work.
Right.
Like, you just can't.
Right.
You don't have to be, doing the attacking. You should be, playing with and practicing a lot of it. You should be doing internal penetration testing. Like, every company's blue team should have rotating pen testing duty internally. That should just be a thing, and then you hire in a third party to get a second set of eyes on something once a year.
I was going to ask
once every 3 years, depending on your
organization. I like that plan. I think that's really...
I believe PCI requires annual pen tests, and I think you only need to do a third party every 3 years. And I haven't read PCI in a while, and they may have changed.
I think it did change like a year ago or something like that. Okay, yeah.
And so, like, the point is, like, you can be doing these pen tests internally. And yeah, I understand that, like, as a defensive guy, you're not going to be an awesome pen tester, but you're going to learn, like, you're pretty much probably going to be doing. You're going to be doing an Nmap scan and iterating your environment, which is something no company does. We're regularly showing up and going, here's what your environment looks like, and they're like, that's not what we thought it looked like at all.
Yeah.
Like, I found all these things you didn't mention in the SOW, and they're like, what? Where are those? Do you have more information? So, like, you're going to be doing that. You're going to be doing hopefully vulnerability scans. Like, at least hope that you're doing that within your enterprise. And then, like, when you find the vulnerabilities, like, should start exploiting things and seeing what you can see from within there. Get a greater view of what's going on, because the vulnerability scan is not going to turn up everything that's vulnerable in your environment.
For sure. Yeah.
And so, like, once you actually start doing these regular pen tests, you start to really understand, because that we're not just coming in and doing vuln scans, and then, some companies are. So watch out for those. Yeah, like, you should be doing this internally just as a means of being better at your job, B, your understanding your company's network and what's out there and how things talk to each other. Like, this is definitely something blue teams should be doing, and I don't see this. I know of one company in Michigan that is doing this with their blue team. And it's going excellently for them. I highly recommend this. And at the same time, like, as a penetration tester, you would really suck if you didn't understand what defensive things you were up against. If you didn't understand, like, how endpoint protection works and how firewalls work and how IDSs work versus IPSs, what FireEye is
Johnny,
up to.
I just want to hack.
What is hacking if not bypassing?
I know. Yeah, no.
It's learning how everything works ever.
I think people were talking about it on Twitter. I'm all over Twitter all the time. But I think people were talking about this exact thing on Twitter a little bit ago. And Leslie Carhart, she was, she talked
one of my best friends.
Yeah, she's Good people. Good
Absolutely.
People. She mentioned something about she got asked like how to hack, with air quotes by the way, because I hate using it like that too. And she said like, yes, start by learning the OSI model, like start by learning the TCP stack and things like that. And I'm like, yes, yeah.
That just happened to me, and her and I had a bunch of people talking about that on Twitter. Was that the same situation?
Maybe.
I mean, it does happen a lot, especially with more and more people, thinking, red team's sexy.
Yeah.
So you get all these kids coming out of high school, hanging out around college, going, hey, how did you learn to hack? Can you tell me how to hack?
Yeah.
And then it's, how do you answer that? And then you start building up these things like, well, my main thing is like you have to have like a super huge in-depth understanding of how TCP/IP works, including a lot of the applications built into it, your HTTP, your FTP, those sorts of things.
That's like 90% of it right there.
I don't know about 90. It helps you with everything else because
Okay.
you have to understand how things talk to each other at a very low level, because that's what you're fucking up. That's what you're hitting. You're screwing with the way things talk to each other in order to get around certain situations.
Yeah, 90 seems like another. I think that. Like I want to say like maybe 70 to 80, and then
it depends what you do too. Like
10, right? Yeah. If you're just like, hey, how you doing?
And I just did. I was talking to at a security academy in my city 2 days ago, and you do the Q&A at the end. I was just doing a bit on like what hacking was like in the 80s and 90s when Deviant was only in his 50s, and that was fun. And the QA at the end, and of course your audience being students and blue teamers who. Because that was, in an area of a dense corporate population. You get that question that's effectively, how did you learn to hack, and how can I learn to hack like you? And I was like, well, how I learned was this talk I just gave for the past hour and a half, where I was talking about hacking in the 80s and 90s. So I've been breaking into things for 20 years, pre-Google.
Oh my God.
And I talked about BBSs and text files and Anarchist Cookbook. And
we have Jason Scott in here? Is this?
Well, we've had him in here. We had him in here last year.
Oh yeah.
Jason Scott is
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Jason Scott is a great interview. I love having him on the air.
Yeah. He is a card.
Yeah,
He
is a ham, and he's doing some great work at archive.org and textfiles.com. I mentioned him in my talk at length. Yeah,
he's a great dude.
One of the best presenters too. If you've ever just seen him give a talk.
Yeah, that's why he's a great interview, because he knows how to present information in an amazing way.
He's a great person to just even interact with one-on-one. He's just fantastic. We have like 4 minutes left technically, and then I think the keynote starts. So I'm going to finish it out with this. So in one of our podcast episodes, in season 0, episode 8, we did this thing where we went to Twitter and we asked like a whole bunch of infosec people like, how did I phrase that? Like what's one thing you can tell sysadministrators or system engineers or something like that? And we actually have 2 quotes from you. The first one, I really like.
Oh man, this is a congressional hearing? Can you confirm that you made the following statements?
We're blue team. We do things by the books. If there's one thing we have, it's records.
I did not know people were reading my Twitter. Full disclosure. I did not know.
No, it's all right. The first one was actually pretty good. Make sure 20% of your time is spent doing, not engineering things.
Well, that is a thing I said.
Unrelated hobbies. Yep.
I think I said that on Leslie's blog. Is that where you pulled it from?
Forums? No, this is right from Twitter.
Oh, okay.
This was at us.
He replied us.
The second one, and to close this out, I was hoping I could get clarification on this. You said, buy one of those purses that explodes into nunchucks?
That was... I'm going to bring Leslie up for a third time.
I need this product.
That was...
Carry a purse around?
Oh, if it exploded into nunchucks, you fucking better.
I have a vague memory of that. I will confirm that was a thing I said. Mm-hmm. It was in reference to, I'm almost positive, something that Leslie Carhart had posted, and it was like a women's self-defense thing, where it's like a purse, and like it transformed like Transformers style, but immediately into nunchucks. Like if you just hold this thing. Yeah, you hold this end of this handle, and then that's the other thing, and you snap it, and it's pow, nunchucks. Oh, now I can fend off any attacker because I am fully trained in the use of this weaponry.
I was searching for that, and I could not find it because I was like, there's no way that's a real thing. It's got to be a real thing. And then I was looking, I couldn't find it.
I'm going to tweet Leslie, and she probably owns it by now. I don't know if you guys know, Leslie is at least 3 black belts now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I always think it's funny, like, people carry weapons in self-defense and that they have no knowledge of how to use. Like, even a knife, like a pocket knife, that's the easiest thing to disarm from someone and then use against them. Like, don't carry a weapon that you have not been trained in and do not regularly practice in. Like, all
fucking clear and swipe. Clear and swipe.
Face that way. Deviant is literally clear and swiping me while I'm trying to do a show.
We have a whole ops division. Like, we're a FizSec firm.
Really big knife.
One of the best quotes ever, though, about it will end like on knife fighting. The best thing I ever learned in any knife class. And now, like, cool, there's a marker on the table, too. A knife fight with a person, if they have a knife, it's like a toddler with a marker. And you want to get the marker away, like, you're gonna get marked. Okay. It's gonna happen. Just resign yourself to that, and try to take it on the arm.
And after you've gotten marked a few times, you're not so scared of it anymore.
Yeah, like it's just then
and just try to take it in unimportant places, like your wrists. Apparently are fine.
And then you're gonna be walking around with big old marker marks on your arm.
Yeah. This is a life lesson.
Yeah, and you can tell people what happened. Yeah. Clear and swipe. Your mic's down, and we have.
So. We should probably do that thing where we get the stream ready for Cory Doctor, who comes on in 1 minute. If you guys want to hang out while I get that set up.
Yeah, we can hang out. In fact, I can bring it back around by saying, don't leave weapons on your network that can be used against you. Because every now and then I'll find a Kali box that somebody's got on their LAN.
Or even just like netcat just lying somewhere,
Yeah, or SCP or FTP programs on servers that don't have them by default that I can.
Business,
just don't leave things there that, I understand you were using them for something, but that also means that whoever's walking around can pick them up and use them against you. I regularly find Kali boxes on LANs, which is great because I hope that it means that someone was attempting to do some pen testing internally, and not that I found somebody else, some unauthorized pen testing going on. So I'm going to wrap it up there. There's, I don't have any inherent hatred for sysadmins and blue teamers, especially as, an old, I miss, and I will say, people think that I work the sexy job. It has its sexy moments, but I really, really miss engineering. I really loved security engineering, the building things, the making stuff work. The constant tweaking and playing with to make it better. If you're an engineer at heart, that's one of the coolest things you could do is security engineering. And I look forward to, once I'm done learning from this, to going back and doing some more engineering. So I really do appreciate what you guys do personally.
Thank you. Yeah, we couldn't do what we did without you guys. So.
Well, we appreciate being here. This was fun.
For better or for worse.
True.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
See you guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, right on.
This is Johnny Christmas signing out here. We're going to get the keynote streaming for you in just a minute, so stand by while that gets set up.
So that was Hope. We had a blast. So again, shout out to Johnny Christmas and Deviant Ollam. Great guys. Great guys. Deviant has some fantastic physical security stuff that he does, and Johnny Christmas, you just follow him on Twitter because he just is a treasure trove of wisdom. So with that, let's go right into the baddies. So Peyton, you want to take this?
Sure, absolutely. So the NSA website goes down amid hacking fears. An almost day-long outage of the NSA's website has raised further questions as to whether America's most secretive surveillance agency has itself been compromised. Days after a shadowy cyber group claimed to have obtained some of the NSA's most powerful hacking tools, the NSA.gov website went down late Monday, according to Politico, and was not restored until late Tuesday. A request for comment from Fox News was not immediately returned. The outage came after the posting of a cache of hacking tools purportedly by a group known as the Shadow Brokers to its Tumblr account over the weekend. The hackers were attempting to auction off some of the malware to the highest bidder. The page has been taken down. The files contained a series of tools for penetrating network gear, such as routers and firewalls, which has been a well-known tactic of Western intelligence agencies. The only plausible candidate for ownership besides the NSA is GCHQ, which is the UK Government Communications Headquarters, and the implications of stealing top secret data from GCHQ and modifying it to frame the NSA would themselves be startling. Experts are confident the code produced by the shadow brokers is genuine and consists of NSA material. Technically, they're the keys of the kingdom, one former NSA employee told the Washington Post. So then there's another article on it as well. Security experts say NSA-linked hacking effort was itself compromised. Files use unusual mathematical operation tied to a group that appears to support U.S. interests in cyberspace. So evidence is mounting that the mysterious hacking group claiming to have stolen data from a spying operation linked to the National Security Agency is telling the truth. Security vendor Kaspersky Labs ZAO, which first identified the linked operation last year, said files released in the latest hack use an unusual mathematical approach it had seen in that operation's code. They dubbed the operation the Equation Group and said it appeared to be supporting U.S. interests in cyberspace. The new files released last weekend by a hacking group calling itself the Shadow Brokers, and they have a bigger cache of files they're offering to sell. So pretty much the rest of this article is confirming that.
Yeah.
Juniper Networks was reached out to for comments and they didn't reply.
So I think
Cisco confirmed that Shadow Broker code took advantage of a bug in its software that wasn't publicly known, along with a second bug that it had patched in 2011. So that's why they're patching, because it looks like there was something found and released that nobody knew about.
So the importance of this, number one, is, oh my gosh, so many lulz.
Yeah, mostly it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Well, listen.
This is supposed to be the most security conscious group in the U.S. These are the guys who wrote SE Linux, you know. Not that I don't trust SE Linux, because I do. I think, you know, it was before they're kind of power-hungry, weird, you know, they wrote it and released it before that old stuff that went down. But we should definitely keep in mind that this is supposed to be, like, the best of the best, quote-unquote, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, their security is supposed to be, you know, top-notch.
Right, because they're the ones who are cracking everybody else's security. But FBI,
right, yeah.
If anybody from the FBI is listening, I highly doubt you are, but if you are, I want you to pay very close attention to this, because this is very important, okay? This is what happens when you get access to things you shouldn't have access to. This is what happens. This is exactly what we mean by it is impossible to just write code that runs for the good guys. This is exactly what we mean. And with that, I think we've summed up the entirety of the hilarity of that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is just reading it, it's like, I don't know how you don't laugh. And not only, not just is it funny, but I'm just like, I kind of want to let my jaw drop and just stare and be like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, I know. So that's...
Right? I mean, that's Picard facepalm worthy right there, you know? That's...
And for those wondering, that's why we drink. That is why we drink.
That is...
It's hard to do the baddie without sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our baddie.
Also, to be fair, it's kind of getting to the point where it's hard to be American without...
Without what?
Now,
without drinking. All the time.
It's hard to be in IT without drinking, I would say.
Yeah, why are we bringing...
I don't think this has anything to do with nationality.
Dude, yeah. I don't know about that.
I don't know why you're bringing... I don't know why you're bringing that up, Jathan. I really
Look at the current election that's happening. Look at the government that we have.
Okay, but that's every election year. You know?
Is this Politics Administrivia?
Yes, it is now.
No, it's not. I'm not letting you hijack the
subdomain, politics.sysadministrivia.com.
Oh my god.
All in favor of removing Jathan from the podcast, please raise your hand in the air and say aye.
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 Hey, whatever. I'm out. This will be my last episode. Everybody have a good time.
Yeah, right. Whatever, dude. Hey, seriously though, you have to understand, like, even when Bush was running against Dukakis, and I don't mean Bush Jr., I mean Bush Sr.
Oh shit, you're going way back.
Yeah, you know, even then, people were like, oh, it's the end of the world. If Bush gets elected president, it's going to be more Reagan. And whatever, you know. Yeah. It's a president. He gets elected. He does what he needs to do. The next guy comes along, deals with the fallout of his presidency, does things. The next guy comes along, deals with his fallout. Mm-hmm. You know, no president is absolutely perfect. Not even FDR or Roosevelt, or not Roosevelt, but Lincoln. Not even FDR or Lincoln or Washington even was perfect.
Yeah. You know? They all had issues. On that note, did you see the thing about how Obama was alerted to for those who aren't aware, obviously Louisiana is like near and dear to my heart. They've got a really big, wow, my southern accent's even starting to slip out a little bit. My heart.
Near and dear to my heart.
They're undergoing like a really serious flood issue right now. Again, because, Louisiana. But supposedly this one's even worse than Katrina, which just absolutely ravaged New Orleans. And when when Obama was told, all right, listen, you don't start. When Obama was told, like, while he was golfing about this serious issue that needs to be dealt with, he's like, all right, well, and then just goes right back to golfing. And I think it's important that the Democrats realize, like, yeah, your candidates are just as terrible as the conservatives and vice versa. I think it's a big mistake to put any sort of significant hope in the political system. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think the thing is, and I've heard this a lot, is that we're voting for the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
And really, and I'm really not trying to be political here.
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to show a side or have an opinion of some kind. What I'm trying to say is, when we vote, it should not be the lesser of two evils. We should be voting for the absolute best person for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Not the worst person for the job. And I'm not saying that either one is the best or the worst. But, it should not be decided who the candidates are going to be a year before the DNC or the RNC is run.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'll say on that regard.
Yeah.
To me, that means that is bypassing the American people and what they want. And this nation was founded on the basis of by the people, for the people, of the people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we can do so much better. And I think one of the reasons we're in this situation we're in now with the current election is like, it's like drowning on one side and being set on fire on the other. It's really not preferable at all. It's preferable to just not have it happen at all. And I think this is how that happens, is because people will just say, oh, you need to vote for the lesser of two evils. No. Vote who's going to do a great job for the country. Get them elected. Fight to get them elected. So that's my stance on it, and I think that's the official stance of Sysadministrivia, unless Jathan has something to say about it.
I no longer have an opinion, for it always gets shot down.
Even when we ask him for an opinion, he's just like, no. All right, well, whatever. What? Oh, no, you got more.
No, I'm just going to comment on his statement there. I'm going to just say, when you make comments like that, it makes me not want to care about what you have to say, because
you don't care anyway.
Yes, I do.
Prove it.
We just asked. I literally just asked for your opinion.
You said, meh, whatever.
All right, well, go back a few minutes, see when you were just telling me that I was wrong, etc., etc.
That doesn't mean you're wrong about everything. It just means you're wrong about that particular thing. Don't take it so personally.
In your opinion, that doesn't mean I shouldn't be able to finish a sentence.
I mean, if the sentence is blatantly
it doesn't
flawed.
matter. I'm over it. I don't remember.
No, what were you going to say?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what this reminds me of?
What does this remind you of?
Jathan is a girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she's giving you grief because you're in a relationship with her. And it's one of those, are you okay? I'm fine. And in reality, she's not fine. And she's saying the word fine means she's not fine. And you've got to now bend over backwards to figure out what the fuck you did wrong, why you did it wrong, and how you can fix it.
To our female listeners, I'm sorry, but that does tend to happen. Just fucking say what's wrong.
Sure.
Yeah. That's how things get.
So, Jathan.
And well, to continue on that though, since I don't think Jathan's in his little safe space, so I don't think he's gonna tell us what's actually wrong. But to continue on that though, I think from their perspective, it's more so, it's not that they want us to read their minds, but it's that they want to feel validated in what they say.
I can agree with that.
But the problem is we can't validate it unless we know, because we're rational beings and they're emotional beings. And yeah, speaking very generally, whatever, sure, I know. But generally speaking, statistically, they're more emotionally centric beings and we're more cerebral centric beings. That's just how we are. That's fine. I think that is one of the great things about this world, about this life. But
about this fine country of ours?
No. It's humankind, Barring some few literally a handful of cultures. That's basically how almost every culture is. But whatever. Jathan, are you sure you don't want to say anything?
I'm good.
Okay. Even when I ask him. Whatever. This is Sysadministrivia. I'm Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Peyton.
There was a tiny Asian woman screaming in the street today, and she was screaming at a person that she obviously hates. She was so loud we heard the screaming with our windows all rolled up, and we looked down at the street to see who she was screaming at.